I wanted to start with a budget item that seems to stand out the most, as it is over 700% increase, and that's in the area of maintenance, armory maintenance and repair, and that's a $1.9 million increase compared to the previous fiscal year. I wonder if the proper person could address that situation, explain the purpose of the funds, and, well, do that, please.
Yes, sir. And I can understand your concern. If you look at throughout the history, if you could actually look back over a decade ago, you'll see similar numbers. And essentially, with the advent of the Stryker into the Pennsylvania inventory, we got a great deal of money to do new facilities. And as a result of that, we repurposed a lot of old facilities. And as we divested old facilities, we sold those. So with the legislative approval, we were able to sell those facilities. The money from those sales went into the State Armory Fund. So over the last decade, we were primarily able to support that fund with sales. We are to the point now where we just have one armory left currently for sale, and the sales are done. So at this point, we are going to need the state legislature to, again, resume appropriating money into that fund to support those costs. I'll let Mr. Ferraro discuss what we do with those funds. But you'll notice over the past number of years, we've asked for very little in that fund, and that's because of those sales of armories, which are coming to an end, and that's why we're asking for it now. And Mark will tell you about what that money goes to.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the question. As you're well aware, we have a very robust real estate portfolio with all the readiness centers that we manage, plus Ford Indiantown Gap. On average, we spend about $18.5 million in building maintenance and repair only. That's not talking the capital projects and other construction things that we do.
And how many facilities is that, please?
Sir, believe it or not, if you count Ford Indiantown Gap, we're a little over 900 facilities.
Thank you.
Outside of Ford Indiantown Gap, it's 84 readiness centers. As I said, it's about $18.5 million in building maintenance and repair. Of that, we have a state share of 16.2% for a total of about $3 million a year that we must match the federal funding that we get to maintain our facilities. Ford Indiantown Gap, the majority of the facilities at Ford Indiantown Gap are 100% federally reimbursed, but our readiness centers that are outside of Ford Indiantown Gap are only reimbursed at the 50-50 rate. The average age of our facilities is 53 years old. Therefore, the maintenance of those facilities is very high and the upkeep is high. We have facilities as old as being built in the 1920s. At our newest facility, the unit is actually moving in this weekend to York. To be able to maintain the facilities in the condition that we need to maintain the readiness of our military forces and to be able to match the federal dollars, because the federal government will not spend the money if we cannot match it, then we need that increase in the maintenance budget to maintain those facilities.
Well, you did a good job of anticipating part of the rest of my questions. I have one more for you. What sort of operations actually take place at these facilities so
sir,
people understand?
Yes, sir. It will vary depending upon what the purpose of the facility is. And then the purpose of the facility, as we code that facility, will dictate the funding. So, for example, at Ford Indiantown Gap, the reason why most of the facilities are 100% federally reimbursed is because they have a direct correlation to the federal mission that the National Guard has in relation to their training and readiness, so they reimburse that at the 100% rate. Aviation facilities, all maintenance facilities, and all training site facilities at Ford Indiantown Gap are reimbursed at the 100% rate. All maintenance facilities outside of Ford Indiantown Gap are reimbursed at the 100% rate, which we have 18 maintenance facilities throughout the Commonwealth. Our readiness centers, on the other hand, where the soldiers go to gather on a weekend before they may come up to Fort Indiantown Gap or train, or mainly in the winter months they assemble there to do administrative tasks. Those readiness centers, excuse me, are traditionally reimbursed at the 50-50 rate. because of the dual status of the National Guard. So the state will pick up 50, they'll pick up 50. We also have simulations out at our readiness centers so that the soldiers don't have to travel to Fort Indian Town Gap, whether it's rifle simulators, tank simulators, aircraft simulators, so that they can train right there at their home station armory instead of spending time on the road, that travel time which takes away from their training. They can spend at the Readiness Center doing simulations training as well.
Thank you very much. My time has expired, but I appreciate your answers.
Thank you, sir.
Go Army.